Nicole, could you start off by telling me how you got involved with eSTEeM in the first place?
My colleagues from design, Derek Jones and Georgie Holden, we've been involved in other projects like that were externally funded. And we looked at the virtual studio in different disciplines like architecture or design. And eSTEeM offered us the perfect opportunity to look at a studio that was actually created at the Open University and that is used by our students.
Now, when you say virtual studio, is that some kind of online space where students can showcase their designs?
Exactly, that's exactly it. It's a kind of social network which is image-based. So you basically upload your designs that you produce at home and you show it off to everyone else. And other people can like your design work or comment on it. And very importantly, you have the opportunity to look at everyone else's work. So it's quite exciting.
So, can you give me some more specific details about your eSTEeM project? You know, what was the overall aim and why did you choose to investigate this particular area?
The OpenStudio has been designed actually at the design group and it's been adopted everywhere at the university. But we don't quite know how it is used across a qualification. So oftentimes you design for a specific module, but you don't really know what happens in other modules. So we ask, are we making progress? How are students using the studio across a qualification? We did 5 work packages, a lot of work. So first of all, we looked at statistics of engagement, so how many designs students share, how many comments people do, all these things. In a second work package, we looked at the conversations that occur. Do they change? Are they the same over the years? A third work package looked at the qualities of those designs rated by expert and how that relates to the interactions with those designs by students. And we also interviewed students and asked for their experiences of using the studio across the qualification. And very finally, a lot of work, I know, very finally, we invited other STEM scholars to join in a curriculum workshop where we explored how they could use our findings in helping to design their qualification pathways with OpenStudio in their minds.
So we're talking about a qualification here. We're talking about students using the design, the virtual studio over a long period of time. So level 1, level 2, level 3, and those 5 work packages. What did you find out?
A very interesting finding was that, in fact, students decreased their use of the studio over time. I know.
I'm surprised.
Very surprising, I know. But we also found more differentiated kind of uses across each level, which were really interesting and helped us to explain why that is. So first of all, we found that just looking at what everyone else is doing is actually very important. It helps others to see what everyone else is doing, how I'm fitting in. And this actually relates to student success. This was this one measure that relates to how successful students are.
But if they're not posting, how do you know the lurkers are there?
We know it because we can count the views of artifacts.
Okay.
Yeah, so we know, and that's so important. You usually don't know what you don't measure, but since we can measure the interaction, it gives us really interesting insights. And here we found that the type of conversation changes. So in the first level, when you just start up, you are much more kind of encouraging or socializing through your comments, like, oh, well done. In the second level, it changes. You're much more critical. You're looking for opportunities to use your knowledge to comment on others' work. And then in the third level, students have much more elaborate comments.
What kind of feedback did you get from the students?
The students gave us really good feedback. They say the studio is really valuable to develop their skills because they can compare to others and can ask, how did you do that? But also to not feel alone and isolated at the distance. I think that's really important for OU students. And also the curriculum workshops confirmed that other disciplines love using the studio pedagogy, but might not be aware of the subtle differences or a progression that might be needed. So that was great in order for us to also help us implement strategies for progression, not just in design, but across STEM.
It sounds like a great project. What impact do you think it's had for the STEM faculty and the wider Open University?
I think it had a great impact because now we know there is not just one studio, but there are slight differentiations and we need to understand them, especially if it's used across the faculties at the OU. And I think that will improve the experience our students have learning with the Open University. I think eSTEeM is fantastic in supporting these kind of projects. We've made a lot of progress and have new opportunities as well to connect with scholars elsewhere. And finally, I'm doing a new project with eSTEeM, and I can use what I've learned in this project and build up a community of learners using OpenStudio throughout the qualification.
Okay, well, when you get going on project number 2, Nicole, you must come back and tell us how it's going, tell us all about it. Thanks so much.
I will do, thank you.